Go. If you are hopping on live, I would love to have you send me some hearts or type in some comments. Let me know that you're here so that I know who's on. Yeah. Hello, hello. Good morning. Hey, everyone. Hi, Justin. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Carol. What's up, everybody? Okay, let me see. I have to pull it up on the groups here. There we go. Oh my gosh, it is into December. I think it is so crazy. It is so crazy to think about that. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I have little butterflies in my stomach. Actually, big fucking tropical butterflies in my stomach because I am fixing to move to Hawaii this Saturday. Ah! Just for the winter. Everybody's like, are you like moving permanently? I mean, right now I really enjoy Alaska most of the year. Just not in when it's super dark, especially when we can't like, have our potlucks and things like that make it so fun. But yeah, I'm super excited to be heading there. And today I wanted to talk about adventure because that, if you all know me by now, you know that I am way into adventure. My family's way into adventure. I was a former professional climbing guide, mountaineering guide for 10 years. My husband as well. We still like to take lots of family adventures. So, the flavor of the adventure has changed a little bit since having kids, but we still managed to get it in. Like when we went to Italy last year, um, we did like a more mellow flat hike so our daughter could do it, but we still went in like 8 miles to or sorry, 8 kilometers into this backcountry hut. And then I was able to do some via ferratas by myself. So it was awesome. And it's funny because I remember some people would be like, do I have to like climb to be one of your clients? Because they would see so much of my stuff was about being in the outdoors and whatnot. And I was like, no, what I'm about is helping you open to adventure and how that can help you evolve. Right. So a lot of people that I grew up with were like not that interested in adventure, my parents included. And it sort of made sense because my parents grew up, my parents had me a lot older, but they grew up in the Depression, right? They'd been through world wars, right? They had a very, my dad was an orphan. My mom had like 5 siblings die in childhood. So for them, putting yourself at risk was not their jam. They were like, why would you do that, right? Hey, what's up, y'all? I see the people over there. Facebook group. Oh, good. Hey. So there's a sort of continuum of adventure that I just want you to be aware of, because if your risk tolerance is not that high, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you can't have adventure. It doesn't mean you have to say, oh, I don't want to do any adventures, right? So when oh, sorry, someone's sending me a message here. Hey, what's up? What's up? Hi, Sandra. Oh my gosh, it's in the 50s in Miami and she's freezing, she says. Hey, Shauna. Hey, Cass. So, adventure, right? Different definitions, okay? Usually there is an element of risk, and risk is relative, right? When I was a climbing guide for Outward Bound, when I was instructing for Outward Bound, we would say, like, we want to have high perceived risk, right? We want people to really feel like this shit is dangerous, but not have it actually be dangerous because we were responsible for like these people's lives, right? Now, when I was guiding for expeditions in the Himalayas, yeah, that's like for reals, right? For reals, avalanche danger, things that you can't always protect yourself from in the end. You just like you have to accept some element of risk, but you do your best with your judgment. So I'm not saying that adventures like go intentionally put yourself into harm's way per se, but it's risk, right? Like what is the risk involved? So sometimes it involves danger, but not risk, or sorry, risk, but not danger, right? So we can have an element of risk, but not have it be dangerous. So that's important to differentiate. And then another way to look at adventure is something unexpected and exciting, something out of our normal pattern, right? So for me, I grew up with an aversion to boredom. Like I grew up in this really poor neighborhood that was violent. I couldn't play out in the front yard because of drive-by shootings. I was an only child. I was like stuck at home and no, like because we were poor, I didn't have any video games. We didn't have cable or any of that shit. I was so bored. I reread the same books over and over and over. And to be honest, like the boredom probably helped me get more creative in some ways. But I remember thinking, I will never, ever be bored. It is one of those things that is like the bane of my existence. I just don't want to be bored. And a lot of freedom junkies are that way, a lot of the people that follow me. And so, what a lot of people would say, why are you so prioritizing adventure? It causes so much stress, right? Like my husband being gone paragliding all the time, or me being gone from my kid to do my own adventures. And for me, I really feel that adventure is essential to our evolution. So on my adventure retreats in my mastermind, right? So I do these year-long masterminds, none this year because of COVID, but we usually do retreats and there's adventure involved on all of those, whether it's learning to surf, whether it's rock climbing or sea kayaking or something like that, because I have found that the work we do on our minds gets taken to the next level when we adventure, right? And the reason is when we adventure, we open up to a new way of thinking. Because adventure involves risks and an element of the unknown, we aren't lazy in our mind. We have to stay alert. We have to watch out for what's going on and assess what's going on. And I don't mean in like a paranoid kind of way. I just mean we have to be fully present. Not like, I remember I used to drive from UC Santa Cruz to the Bay Area, and I like wouldn't even remember my drive. At the end, I was like, how did I just drive on Highway 17 with all those windy roads and not remember? Like some things we don't have to be present for, but adventure requires presence. It demands presence. It's like a meditation, certain types of adventure, right? So, oh, hey, Sarah. So I want to encourage you to include adventure into your daily lives. Give me a little bit, type in the chat boxes if you're here. Let me know what kind of adventures you prefer, because there are different types. So, an adventure could be in the wilderness, could be the types of adventures that I do on my retreats. It could be going out to new restaurants. It could be checking out new cities. It could be traveling. It could maybe like reading different materials for some people, like that are in nursing homes, right? Some people think, how can we help them get more involved and open up their minds? And it's like exposing people to new ideas, new things to read, new things to watch, new things to listen to. Outdoors, in the mountains. Yes, that's mine. That's my preferred, right? Outdoors, like primarily, but I love the mountains and I love the ocean. Climbing, yes. What I love about climbing is, and especially mountaineering, is there's the holistic aspect of it. It's not like when you're rock climbing at a crag, which I also love, where you're just like kind of going up and down these crags. but rather you have to consider the weather pattern over the previous 3 days. You have to do often like river crossings, great glacial crossings. You're watching the weather throughout the day because the consequences are so intense if the weather goes bad, because you can't just like rappel down really quickly. You have to like have this whole kind of epic retreat, right? And I just like having to use all those different parts of my brain. Yeah. Oh, Sandra says currently exploring the Everglades, not mountains, but own, yeah, own Encanto. For sure. UC Santa Cruz was in the redwoods, right? The old growth redwoods. And I remember just exploring those. I'm still like not that into trees. I don't, I like, I appreciate trees. I don't want trees to go away. I want there to be more trees, but I personally prefer above tree line. All right. So there was a study by Ben Fletcher, and he is from the United Kingdom and did a study back in 2005 was the first study where they asked people to um, try something new every day and embody a new perspective every day. So it was like if you were shy, you would try to be more outgoing that day. If you were more conservative, you'd try on some more liberal concepts. If you were more liberal, you'd try on more conservative viewpoints and just test them out and consider what it would be like to have that viewpoint. If you were always into sports, they would encourage you to think, okay, well, maybe step into this more spiritual, reflective um, perspective for today. They also had people eat something different twice a week. And they also had people try a new weekly activity, like going to a new concert or checking out a new restaurant or going to like a local community political meeting, for example. So when people did that, when they did those things, it was a 3-month longitudinal study. Guess what they found at the end as a common result? Average weight loss, 11 pounds. What? Why? Well, when people were going on their own, to me, those were types of adventures, trying out new things, being in a different way, taking a risk by giving up your patterns and your attachments to the way things need to be. They started to become aware that everything was optional. Like, holy shit, the way I am thinking about politics right now is optional. The way that I'm choosing to eat right now is optional. The route that I take to work is optional. So we have all of these aware people becoming aware that the choices they make are optional, and that and so they ended up being more mindful of the way they were eating and the way they were moving, and we have this net result of weight loss. So then in 2011 he did another study trying to really see if this could be a consistent result. And they found weight loss as well, again, right? More statistically significant. They were focusing specifically on weight loss in the 2011 study. So my point being, when we don't adventure, our minds can get dull, right? We don't realize how much we are taking for granted and assuming that they're facts when really they're optional. And when we open up to adventure, our minds also start to expand, and they don't see things as stuck and firm and factual. So we often say, okay, no, this is the way things are, but we are really just talking about an attachment. Like there's so many people that are like, that's not who I am. I'm not like that. But really, they're just attached to being who they are. They don't want to stretch. They don't want to change, right? But Shauna is saying, everything you just said is true of illness. The body is a guide and takes one off the normal known universe. Yeah. So when the podcast drop tomorrow, I talk about, I've had cancer twice. And that was like an unwelcomed adventure, but it was a big adventure in the sense that I had come to terms with mortality when I was climbing, in the sense of like, this is dangerous, or what we're about to do has some risk involved, some close calls, realizing that maybe I tied the knot wrong. And if I'd leaned back, that would have been bad. Getting shaken up about that, retying the knot, right? Just like interesting experiences, avalanches, being near avalanches, but not in avalanches, right? Flipping over in kayaks through big rapids or something. But with cancer, it was so interesting because it wasn't my choice, right? So sometimes life will throw us these risks and these unexpected things. And you can choose to look at them in different ways, right? And I was really saying, I was grateful that I had all those other experiences in adventure because it helped me sort of reframe this, right? And so I was fortunate. I didn't have a very long and drawn out process with my two cancers. Um, but there are many people who do. And if we open up to what this new experience can teach us, if we can open up that it is teaching us to be less attached to the way things are, it really ultimately helps us evolve because we are so stuck in these neural pathways, right? Our brain is an efficiency machine. It loves to go down the same path, even if that path is boring, even if that path isn't the best for us. It goes, oh, assess the situation. Oh, I know what I do here. I lose my shit and I chew people out, right? And it's like, that's kind of the efficient thing to do, but it's not the most helpful, right? So then what can we do instead? We can train our brain to start going down a different path. But the way we do that takes a lot of effort. It does initially because our brain automatically goes down this old neural pathway. And it literally is a physical neural pathway. Like it follows the same pathway through the brain. So when you want to do things differently, when you want to evolve, when you want to expand your mind and your openness and your wisdom, we need to be willing to let go of those old neural pathways, which are forms of attachment to a way of thinking, right? And then we need to develop new ones. So, in Freedom School, we do this all the time. We talk about how to develop intentional models and take on new thoughts. I have a podcast episode, How to Believe New Things. We can do that. And regular adventure every day can help you do that more easily too. I want to give a caveat here because a lot of people, um, they resist any kind of routine because they think it's going to tamper their style, right? They feel like it's going to tamper their ability to be spontaneous and adventurous. And I just want to say that when you have a dinacharya in Ayurveda, right? When you have a morning routine and an evening routine, it helps you be more flexible in between those. So there is something to be said about a routine as you go along your days to allow for more adventure in between. Like, I would say no matter what adventure I'm on, I at least have the same 5 to 10 minute morning routine. It provides a sense of familiarity, of connection. It helps ground me. When we were traveling a lot with my kid, I mean, my daughter had been to 9 countries before she was 2 or something like that. Now she's up to like 15 or something. Providing a sense of structure amidst all that travel helped her be so much more resilient, right? It wasn't like, oh, who the fuck knows what's happening today? We had a routine for what happened every day so that in between we were able to be more open to adventure. So if you find new experiences stressful, you might want to try to have a more regular routine in the morning and in the evening. It doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be epic, but those touchstones in your day can help you be more open to things being different. Now, expect some resistance, right? We are breaking a physical pattern in our brain. Some people find it physically painful to resist going down the same pathway, right? to think a new thought. I know I do, right? I had been in a certain thought pattern in my relationship with my husband, and it was like having to reframe that was like, what? I am so used to thinking of it in this way. And I really had to be like, doesn't have to be that way. This is optional. All of our thoughts are optional, and adventure helps us remember that. So, another thing I wanted to point out is people will often say, like we were in the Philippines for 6 weeks, and we'll come back and people say, how was your vacation? And I'm like, that is not how we roll. This is a lifestyle for us. Like, I work when we travel. I do take about 2 to 3 weeks off every time we do an overseas trip, but I work during that time also, because if I waited to only have vacations to adventure, it would be like not that often, or not as, I should say, not as often as I would like, right? So it's important to learn how to work this into your life in a way that works for you. So for me, right, location is important to me because adventure is a lifestyle. So, I had to create this. It didn't just happen to me like, oh, lucky you, you have a location independent lifestyle. Work fucking hard to get there, right? Thought about it constantly. When I make decisions about career or work, it's like, will this give me more independence or not? Will this give me more independence or not, right? So you can prioritize what you choose, adventure your way, right? Then you want to find ways to bring it into your daily life as well. So, not just waiting for the big adventures, but also what can you do today that's different, that will be exciting for you, new for you, a little risky for you, right? Risking your attachment to the way things are. So, when you look at risk that way, right? Risk to your ego, risk to attachment to who you think you are and how you think, risk to how you want to live your life. When we take risks that help us expand that, then we are really evolving. Then we are really building resilience. My husband is so adventurous, right? He um, I'm super adventurous to relative to America, and he's like next level, right? But you put that guy in a fancy restaurant and he's like awkward as fuck. Like, adventure cannot handle this, like cannot handle this kind of new experience, can't handle this kind of unknown, can't handle this kind of situation, right? Like, he would way rather not be there. And for me, I would love to be able to roll in so many scenarios. It's like, oh, okay, let me talk to this person who thinks totally different than me. Let me find out how their brain works and why they think this way, right? Let me go into this new environment. Let me be comfortable hanging out with the homeless person for a bit. Let me be comfortable, right? And adventure really teaches us that. You know, Physical adventure taught me to be comfortable with very little, taught me to have fun even though I was freezing, taught me to have fun even though I was exhausted and hungry, taught me to be kind and compassionate and helpful even though I was miserable and exhausted, right? Adventures can teach us these things. Going a new way to work, stopping to watch the sunset in a place that you don't normally stop at. All of these different things, they seem tiny, but they help your brain remember that there are other ways of doing things, okay? So, what are some, I would encourage you to pick one thing that you are going to do today to bring a little adventure into your life. And if you can think of it, go ahead and type it into the chat box or into the comment box if you're on Facebook. But I really want to hear, what is a form of adventure that you're going to do today? Not on your next vacation, not on your next chunk of time off. Like, I haven't even picked one for today. What would I do today? I think I'm going to order a different lunch. because I'm not cooking right now. I'm too busy. I always order the same damn thing from this Thai restaurant. Kanamu Kro. Same damn thing every fucking day for lunch. I love it. I never get sick of it. I'm just not going to do that today. So that's what I'm going to do, right? Cindy says, take a walk on a new trail. Awesome. Kim says, I will go ski at a place that I don't normally ski at and check it out. Awesome. What else have we got here? Sarah says, going to bake a new cookie recipe, right? Try a new ingredient. Like go into the Asian market and be like, what is this? And try to incorporate it into a recipe, right? Good. Yeah, these are all really good ideas. Yeah, starting a new book, listening to a new radio station, find a new podcast. Awesome. These are all great ideas, you all. So, working adventure into your life every day, trying new things every day will help you evolve in the way you want to. And adventure is on your terms, okay? Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Just commit to doing something new and exciting on the regular. Ask yourself today, what did I do today that was new and different? That'll keep you out of being bored. Let's say you order something new and you didn't like it. Okay, well, you weren't bored, right? It's like having different experiences doesn't mean they have to be amazingly positive. It's training your brain to have new experiences. Ooh, I'm going to order Ethiopian food today. That's what I'm going to do. That sounds so good to me. Okay. All right, y'all. So, adventure every day, adventure your way. Okay. So, listen to the podcast tomorrow when it drops. It's going to be called Why We Need to Adventure. Share it with your friends. Leave some reviews on iTunes. We haven't pushed for those for a while, but it would be awesome if you could leave a few kind words. Okay. All right. Mwah. Have an amazing rest of your week. Next week, y'all, it's going to be aloha. I'm going to be in Hawaii. All right. From here on out, we're going to have some waves in the background. Okay. Bye.